Now, they can see you.
Hello everybody, my name is Staff Sergeant Holden with the Indian Army National Guard. Today I have Sergeant First Class Shackleford and Miss Leonard here. We're going to talk about the RSP, which is the Recruit Sustainment Program. Sergeant Shackleford, why don't you go ahead and introduce yourself, talk a little bit about yourself and your career, and what led you up to the RSP.
So I enlisted in the year 2000. This is obviously pre 9/11. My intentions for enlisting in the Indiana National Guard was I wanted some adventure in my life, and I wanted a ways and means to pay for some school that I wanted, and I wanted to do some exciting things. I enlisted as a 13 Fox, which is a forward observer for the field artillery, which I thought was exciting. And lo and behold, I get deployed the following, after my basic training was over with from 2002, went to Bosnia, had the opportunity to do that. I was very successful at basic training, that's why I was selected to go on that deployment. And then right after that deployment, the 2003 war kicked off. So I deployed to Iraq. So within the first 3 years of my enlistment, I deployed twice.
Would you say that's pretty normal nowadays? Or?
It is not. It is not normal. That was very. It was very specific to just me, basically. There are many opportunities for deployments to different places, but that is definitely not the rule. I was the exception. So after that, being full time almost for a couple of years in the Army, I just felt like this is something that I wanted to do for the rest of my life, and I fit in. The military life and my the way I live my life kind of fit together, and it gave me a lot of structure and guidance that I didn't have, and it also had some pretty nice benefits that I also wouldn't have gotten from small town of Evansville, Indiana. So small town kid joining the military, going to see the world, which is the stereotypical story that a lot of people have. After my few years of being active duty and going on deployments, like I said, I wanted to do this for the rest of my life. So I found a full-time job in recruiting, like Staff Sergeant Holdeman does. That's how I got my foot in the door. And since then, I've gathered 4 different MOSs. I carry 79 Tango, obviously, 11 Charlie, and 88 Mike. So 11 Charlie is a mortarman for the infantry, and 88 Mike is a transportation NCO for a transportation unit. So I have a variety of different MOSs, and I'm very appreciative of that. I've got a pretty good scope of what the Guard has to offer. Once again, I said I'm from Evansville, Indiana, and obviously that's a few hours away from good old South Bend where we're at right now. So I've been able to travel, been able to use the Guard to take care of my family, to take care of my goals in life, and I am about 2 years from retirement, and I'm going to keep getting benefits from the National Guard, even though I'm out. So that's kind of my story. And the Recruit Sustainment Detachment is designed specifically, unlike any other branch in the Army, and there's a couple of different branches if you guys don't understand that. So there's Army Reserves, there's the National Guard, and then there's the regular Army. We particularly have the Recruit Sustainment Program, and which is different from the other 2 branches of the Army. And what we do is we bring the civilian that the recruiting field recruits off of the street or wherever, and we help them develop into a soldier. That is our number one mission that we have within the Recruit Sustainment Detachment. And we transition someone who's never put on a uniform, never put on a pair of boots, doesn't know what rank structure looks like, doesn't know what the patches in our uniform mean. And we develop them and teach them and prepare them and set them up for their initial training. We have a very high success rate. We have some of the highest number of honor graduates and distinguished honor graduates within the Army. And I feel like that is due to what we do, not just at my Recruit Sustainment Detachment, but throughout the country and throughout the state. So, yeah, that's about it. That's about all I got.
So when you say my RSD, there's obviously others, right?
There's 8 others within the state, and they're usually located within major cities within our state. I believe our state has one of the most as far as count number throughout our state. That's actually because, believe it or not, Indiana is one of the biggest National Guard states in the country. Hoosiers are very patriotic, and Hoosiers want to serve. So that enables us to be one of the larger states as far as the numbers go in the country. So that's why we have so many. Okay. So if you look from Evansville to South Bend, there's 8 other detachments between here and there.
Okay.
So.
We do have one question here. Someone was asking about the VA home loan. You've had 18 years of experience in the military. You've accumulated a lot of different benefits. Have you utilized the VA home loan yourself?
I have, twice. So to qualify for a VA home loan, you have to be established as a veteran.
Okay. And do you know what that would require?
So, as according to the federal laws, to qualify as a veteran, it's either 180 days deployed overseas or on active duty.
Okay.
Those benefits are, like I said, those are truly earned. And they are some really good benefits. Some may find it a little challenging in the Guard, but there's always opportunities to put yourself in place to get chosen for a deployment or to volunteer for a deployment. And there's many different areas where you can achieve that status.
Absolutely. I do know that I think recently they just passed an addendum too, specifically for Guard and Reserve soldiers. If you do 6 years with an honorable discharge, you might qualify for VA home loan now as well.
Yeah.
I do like that you mentioned about how the National Guard has the only RSP program. I myself joined the Army Reserves, and I did not go to any sort of RSP. In fact, they told me to start drilling with my unit right away. And being a new Joe, a junior in high school, they had no idea what to do for me. So I was on KP, cleaning up dishes, every weekend for my 1 week in a month, and then I went to basic training and I didn't know anything. I accidentally called the drill sergeant sir my first day. That was the wrong answer. So with the RSP, you would go to basic training with knowledge, or with like the very basic knowledge of what to expect, how to address a drill sergeant, stuff like that. Is that correct?
Absolutely. That's what our curriculum is set up to do. It's to mimic what everyone is going to learn at basic training. And like I was saying, we teach everything from how to put your boots on, to rank structure, to shoot, move, and communicate, and to learn how to make a bunk. So we teach everything in between, and we have a lot of positive feedback on the curriculum that we provide specifically from our warriors that come back, and they tell us all the time. And we see the numbers. They will come back with honor graduate or distinguished honor graduate,
right.
Or they will express to us how they were way more prepared than the rest of the people that they were in formation with.
All right.
And I will add, so Sergeant Shack didn't have an RSP when he joined. I joined in 2011, so I did go through an RSP. So I only had like one drill before I left, and even that one drill before I left for basic training made a huge difference. So.
Okay. So you've had 4 MOSs under your belt. Would you say that makes you more marketable within the Army? What's the importance of having multiple MOSs?
So, specifically within the Guard, to change jobs within the AGR, the Active Guard program, which is what we do full time, is what you guys do as recruiters. We're full-time National Guardsmen. So to be able to have mobility and marketability, like you said, sometimes you have to adapt to the position that you're looking for, and sometimes that requires you to change MOSs. Now, the first thing you have to do to change MOSs is be qualified.
Right.
You have to be qualified to attain whatever MOS that's specific to that job description. But these jobs, they're advertised frequently. Matter of fact, I just seen something the other day where multiple jobs were advertised within the state. So there are multiple full-time opportunities if you do the right thing, and if you meet standards, and if you do everything that's asked of you as a soldier, those opportunities will come to you.
Okay. Now, you've had a really interesting career. When I first met you, you were a readiness NCO out of South Bend. But before that, you were a recruiter, and you worked with ROTC. Would you say all of your jobs that you've had in the AGR system before really helped you with the RSP? Because at the RSP, you're kind of in charge of all the soldiers, ensuring that they're trained, and you have to deal with a lot of different issues that come up. Would you say that everything pretty much is accumulated to where you're at right now?
I say it definitely prepared me. This is definitely one of the most challenging jobs that I've ever had in my almost 20 years of being here in different MOSs. It's very challenging to deal with some of the instances that come across my desk. And yes, I will say that my experiences in different MOSs and different units have helped me, be prepared for some of the things that I've faced in this job. So,
this is Sergeant Leonard. Sergeant Leonard, or Miss Leonard, go ahead and introduce yourself a little bit.
I'm Sergeant Leonard, or Miss Leonard. So that reason for that is I'm a civilian contractor during the week for the RSD, but I'm also in, so drill weekends I'm in a green uniform, and during the week I'm in civilians like I am right now.
What was your MOS when you first started?
88 Mike Motor Transport Operator, so truck driver.
Okay. So you are a contractor for the RSP. What would you say your role is? What is your part of this RSP?
We really focus on the admin part and the shipping operations. So Sergeant Shack and I kind of just caveat off each other, and really some things he does more towards drill, and for me it's more towards actual ship dates when our soldiers are going to basic training. So
I think one of the biggest misconceptions that a lot of people have about the National Guard is the 1 week in a month, 2 weeks in the summer. They don't see that, yes, these RSP guys, they drill 1 week in a month, 2 weeks in the summer, not even 2 weeks in the summer because they go to basic training. But they don't see that you guys are there working full-time, around the clock, to make sure that everything happens. So what are some of the things that you guys do at the RSP to get prepared for drill weekend?
for drill weekend, so some of the things that we have to prepare for is number one is the training schedule. So we have to ensure that, because we do have soldiers for a very limited time, and there are things that have to get done. There are things that we'd like to get done, and we would like to see. So we have to find a balance between that. So time management is definitely a challenge. Trying to get everything in and also trying to make training fun and exciting, because we have nothing but brand new soldiers who have never experienced the military before, so we have to prepare for that. A lot of paperwork is involved in anything that we do. So, and that's wherever you go. There's not a company on earth that doesn't have some type of paperwork that you have to do to accomplish certain things. So paperwork is always a constant progress. And facilities. We have to make sure the facilities that we want are going to be available. The weather is always a consideration, especially during the winter months in beautiful South Bend, Indiana, because the roads are very treacherous. So those are the things that go into trying to put drill together. And through the couple of weeks before drill, it seems like we're trying to squish things in the spaces that don't fit, and lo and behold, when it comes to drill, the soldiers are the ones that actually make drill happen, and you just give them a little bit of guidance, and they pretty much take it the rest of the way. We wouldn't have jobs if it wasn't for the soldiers. And but yeah, they do a terrific job. I think we have a pretty good detachment. And I think, for the most part, I think soldiers have a good time and enjoy what we do.
Okay. So you mentioned the drill schedule. Can you walk us through what a normal weekend might look like for some of these soldiers?
So drill normally starts at 9 o'clock in the morning, and we'll start that off with some PT, physical fitness. If you hear those terms a lot, PT is something that is very commonplace with anybody in uniform, basically, but specifically the Army. We take PT very serious. So PT in the morning is what we get through, and that's actually one of the mandatory things that we have to do. So they'll come in the morning. We'll do some checking in, some paperwork, making sure we have accountability, and then we kind of kick drill off and start it with working out a little bit. After that, we eat some good chow, regardless of what people like to say about the military. We do eat very, very well. And then after that, we kind of break up into individual classes depending on where you are in your enlistment process or the progress that you have made throughout your career. If you're brand new, we have an introductory course that we send you through. Gives you all the basic information that you need, and then you graduate, if you will, to the next level once you've learned some of the basics. So at the end of the night, we usually do some type of team building event, and the next day is kind of repetitive. We PT in the morning, do some more classes and some training, and then we usually dismiss probably around 1,500-1,600 every Sunday. So we usually don't take up too much of their time. We want to give them some time to be able to drive home and either get some homework done, because we do have a lot of high school students.
Right.
So we try to give them a little bit of time in the evening to get homework done, or if their family has them doing chores or whatever, we understand that as well. So that's pretty much it on drill weekends.
Have you ever had to deal with employers who were absolutely trying to refuse letting their employees off to come to drill weekend?
Yes, and that's not just particular to the RSP. It's pretty common when you're dealing with a reserve unit of any kind, whether that be the Army, the Marines, or the Air Force, or whoever. You deal with civilians who may or may not understand how our state laws work or our state statutes work, and so it's pretty common sometimes to either have a question from an employer, but usually it comes down to either the person not getting the correct information, and then once they have the correct information, they go ahead and they fully understand what they're doing now. And we haven't had too many issues with employers just being altogether outright dismissive of the military. Hoosiers, like I said, Hoosiers are very patriotic, no matter if they own a business or if they work there. So any issues that come about from employers or whatever, we will either work with that individual soldier to work around their employment schedule, as long as that is communicated to us, because sometimes that's not. And or we will inform the employer of what the exact procedures are, and usually it gets resolved pretty quickly.
Right. A lot of people say that recruiters are the face of the Guard, but right after these kids enlist in MEPS within 72 hours, they have to come to you guys, and you're their real first taste of the military, what it's like. Because a lot of times, recruiters, we're trying to talk to these kids, but we're not full military mode. What kind of reactions have you gotten when kids are coming to check in? You're a tall guy. Do a lot of people get intimidated?
So we've talked about this frequently. So I have had to adjust my leadership style because I am aware of that.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes for a very young 17-year-old high school student, 6'3", 240-pound man is very intimidating. So I understand that. So we don't typically go full out military mode on them the initial meeting. It's usually, hey, this is me, this is what I do, this is what Sergeant Leonard does. A really good introduction to things before we turn them loose, to say, I guess, on their squad leaders. The squad leaders are the standard bearers in our detachment. They are the individuals that they're really going to get the guidance and the direction and the motivation to understand fully what they're doing and what they're preparing to do. So, in short, I'm not the guy that would to be scared of. So please don't be scared of me. I have 4 little children at my house, so I'm very accustomed to lowering my voice and not trying to be intimidating. So if you come and meet me, if you come check in, if you come meet myself and Sergeant Leonard, please don't be scared of us. We're people just like you. We put our pants on one leg at a time, just like you do. And please don't be scared of us. So like we try not to be. So
Right. One of the things that I was really surprised about when I first came to the RSP was that you guys actually have a supply sergeant. You guys actually issue uniforms. Why is that?
It's the pride. It's when you make a commitment, and that's what it is. It's not a job application. It's not a suggestion. It's not anything but a 100% commitment to serve, and we want to reward you with that. We want to bring you into our Guard family, and that's one of the ways that we can do that, is to make you look like us. And it seems maybe kind of small to some people, but for some people, that's one of the main reasons that they want to join, is to wear a uniform. So we provide that opportunity for you. We will show you how to put it on. We will show you how to wear it. We'll show you all the different ways that you can and cannot wear it and all that good stuff. So we will train you before you put it on. And so yeah, that is definitely something we like to let soldiers earn when they come into the detachment, to make them feel welcome.
With the RSP, you guys have juniors who join, so they go through basic training over the summer, and then they come right back, and they're with us for a whole another year. What are some of the stuff that we actually do with the returning juniors, now seniors?
You want to take that?
Yeah, so they're going to be given some leadership positions. So, they're going to be what's called a squad leader. And we're gonna really rely on them to give the most updated information about basic training, because, you know, I went 9 years ago, and Sergeant Shack went a lot more years ago than that. So we're not giving out false information based off of our experiences from basic training, but things have changed a lot, tweaks here and there, so we really rely on those green phasers that come back from basic training to help us relay the most updated information.
And we don't try to impede on your high school life. We know that there are things that high school seniors want to be a part of in their high school career. Athletics is huge. If there's instances where the military is requiring you to meet on the same weekend as one of your athletic events, as long as you communicate that with us, we will absolutely do whatever we can to help you attend that event. Proms are a big thing for us. Prom is absolutely something that you can go to. We don't want to impede on anything that you have in your high school career. High school graduations. So there's several big items that high school seniors have within that year that the RSP really we really try our best to be able to help you attend, and as long as it's communicated, there's no issues. So
Right. So what are some of the requirements that they have to do to be able to stay on the good path, stay in the military, and graduate?
So some of the things that you can do yourself as an individual is work on your physical fitness. So physical fitness is something that the more physically fit you are, the easier your training cycle will be. And here's what I mean by saying that is that no one here is an Olympic athlete. No one here is expecting you to be even a collegiate level athlete to go to Army initial training. We're asking you to do some push-ups, some sit-ups, and run a few miles. So if those things can be done at your house with a pair of tennis shoes, that doesn't require a gym membership, special equipment. It doesn't require you to go to a different place to do these workouts. You can do them right in your living room. And then we tell you a lot of information, and specifically the information that's going to help you be successful at training. Listen to what your squad leaders and your instructors are teaching you. Take full advantage of the amount of time that you're at drill, because we're only at drill for a certain amount of hours.
Right.
Part of that is sleeping, part of that is eating, and part of that is taking a shower. So there's really only a few hours that we have to prepare you in the best ability that we can for basic training. So it's vital, it's absolutely vital for you to pay attention to every word that we say, because all of it is geared towards making you more successful at training. So.
Right. One of the things that I wanted to bring up is I joined the Army Reserves in 2008. I did not get promoted, my first promotion, until 2010. I had to be completely done with AIT. Actually, it was 2011. After that, I was pretty fast-tracked to specialist, but in the RSP, you guys can get promoted before you go to training. Is that correct?
Yes. So we always have our time in service promotions. So, if you enlist as an E1, 6 months later, you'll get promoted to E2, and then from E2 to E3 is another 6 months. We do have Stripes for Buddies, which is a very quick opportunity for you guys to get promoted with that program. It's simply as bringing a referral to your recruiter if you're already in. Catches is that referral has to get past MEPS and actually enlist. And then we do have Stripes for Skills as well. So it's a test at drill. Usually it's like a written test. We give you a PT test. And if you pass all of those requirements, that's a promotion from E1 to E2 for Stars for Skills. So.
And promotions obviously mean more money in like basic training.
Exactly.
Do you have like a dollar amount maybe that you could be?
It's a difference between, I think it's like about $1,800 as an E1 per month as an E1, if I didn't say that. E2, it bumps you up to like $1,900 per month and so on and so forth.
All right. I know like E3, E1, you're talking about like $500, $400 or $500 difference a
Right.
month. Not to mention, if you refer somebody, you get promoted, and now they have that referral enlistment pay. So even if you're part of the Guard or not, you get $500. So that's
Yeah, and your next promotion depends, your clock starts the day you get promoted that rank.
Right.
So if you think about it, if you're promoted to E3, before you go to training and you spend all that time at training, and before you know it, you'll be qualified for the next rank as well. And being a specialist, being promoted to specialist as a new unit member at any unit, that's really exciting. So if you could set yourself up in your career very, very well, especially you high school students. You high school students have a lot of time from the time that you enlist to the time that you actually go to your units, and if you utilize it correctly, hint, hint, wink, wink, current high school enlistees that are on right now that are listening. So help us out, help you out, and we'll make it happen for you.
I know the majority of the RSP is high school students. How does that affect the summer session of people trying to get to basic training, especially juniors, because they only have a certain amount of time they can ship? Do you guys get pretty busy, or how do you guys handle all that?
Our next month is going to be the busiest month out of the whole year, which is usually pretty standard throughout the country. That's when, like you said, a lot of the high school students leave and go to the training sites during the summer. So definitely increases. It's not anything that's unmanageable. We're just a little bit more busy during the day and with tracking and everything. The training sites, the 4 basic training sites, are definitely busier during this time. So.
This is going to be the last question for really both of you guys. Somebody, when they ship to basic training, they come in, they sit down with you guys, their families are there. What do you guys sit down and talk to them about? What kind of advice do you guys give them?
To
The families
when they're shipping,
or
or to, I mean, what you could talk to the families. What do you say to the family? What do you say to the soldier?
So
what's that like, being the last person to really talk to them before they?
I'll talk about the family stuff, and you talk about the soldier stuff. So this is what I say to the families. Number one, before you come to the armory that day, please have a set of questions written down for me. Because that day is a very special day, but it's also a very emotional day for a lot of families. Because that is the last day that they see their family member for months at a time. So a lot of times questions don't get answered because people are very emotional and they can't really get it out or think of them. So if you're getting ready for Blue Phase and you're listening to this, tell your parents to write down questions before they get to the armory, and we'll help them answer their questions. So I give the families a brief on exactly what the traveling procedures, what is going to happen to them throughout that day, and what their journey is going to look like, give them their flight path and what time they should be giving you their final phone call, what their training is going to look like throughout that first couple of days. Emphasize it as a transition period, and it's pretty rough sometimes to transition from living at your house, especially if you're an only sibling, to getting transplanted into an environment where we're living with a few other people and having that structure. So I give the family brief, and then Miss Leonard does our what's called Blue Phase. And Blue Phase is the final phase that our warriors go through, and that entails, once again, a lot of paperwork. And Miss Leonard will give you a little brief on exactly what that entails.
So Blue Phase is typically, when we're actually physically drilling, is the last drill before you go to basic training. I sit you down. like he said, it's a lot of paperwork. I ask a lot of questions that you guys have already answered at MEPS. We're just making sure that, you know, everything that you answered at MEPS is still the same, nothing has changed. If there's changes, then we'll address that. And then I really break down, you know, when to be there on your ship day, what you need to bring, and then I'll go into breaking down what reception is going to look like for you, and then what 9 weeks of basic training is going to look like. On the actual ship day, once you guys get done saying goodbye to your family, we bring you back in and we give you an even more in-depth brief on how to navigate through airports, because a lot of you have never flown before. You guys get free money to eat on, meal checks is what we're going to call them. And then, you know, where to report at the airport so that you can get picked up, usually bused to the training site, and then so on and so forth.
Okay. Well, that's pretty much all the questions we have for you today. Tomorrow at 1300, May 21st, we will have Private First Class Jared Guard coming in for a Soldier Spotlight.